Hello and welcome back everybody to Split Heart. So, Slavyas just having an emotional breakdown. And she will tell us her backstory now, I suppose. So let's listen to it, shall we? I was from a peaceful and harmonic family. My father was a forester, and my mother was a doctor. We lived happily together with my younger brother. Is he dead? Oh, my brother, the gem of the family. I loved him so much since his birth. He's dead, isn't he? I was the one who spent the most of the time with him. Our parents were jealous of me, but they accepted my behavior. Okay. I waited for his birthday more than my own, and I often tried to make personal, even handmade presents for him. His bright face was my present from... His bright face was my present from him? Ah, okay, I see. And I never complained about it. I often tried to secure him, but I wasn't always able to be with him. One day, our parents had to go by train, but they promised they would be at home in the evening. I was old enough to look after my brother. I could spend the day with him, and I was the happiest girl in my life on that day. When the evening came, we were waiting for them excitedly. The hours passed, but nothing happened. My brother was desperate, and I was anxious a bit, but I tried to calm him down. I made something for us to have dinner. Then we went to sleep early. Oh, so the parents are dead. And since then you took care of the brother and that's why you're behaving like a mother. But when the next day came, the house was still empty. The beds of mom and dad were cold. And when I looked around, I found no one else. I had to take the role of catering, but I had no money to make financial security. I spent 20 minutes with the searching when I found a small box with a lot of ruble notes. I took a few of them and I went shopping. By the way, don't you write ruble in English B-L-E? That's how you write ruble in German. Just saying. My brother woke up while I was away, and when I arrived his only question was about mom and dad. I couldn't answer him. Then he went back to his room sadly. We did common and independent activities, but we noticed that the silence was hardly bearable. We had to be strong and hopeful. The ticking of the clock was the only sign of passing time, but it was also the source of becoming crazy by it. I stopped it. We weren't hungry, and we slept a lot. The next day I tried to get information from the neighbors, if they knew anything about our parents. They were surprised by hearing my questions, but they couldn't help me. During the afternoon the bell rang. I went to the door slowly, and when I opened it, a tall policeman greeted me. He asked if he found the right house. I didn't have an idea what he wanted to know, but he explained it later. He told me the happening and the circumstances of the late afternoon train accident. Our parents had been right, and they had... Our parents had been right? What? Okay. And they had been transported to a hospital. The injuries had been massive, and they needed immediate medical treatment. They had been quite right during the night. But on the next day, the injuries had become worse, and the loss of blood was too much even with blood supplement. The doctor hadn't been able to save them. That actually sounds rather odd, like over the night and suddenly they start bleeding again and stuff. Okay, I'll take it. When he finished his speech, a whole world was scratched in me within a second. I had one question in mind. How will I be able to tell the bad news to my brother? He saw the dismay on my face. Then he asked it if there was anything in the relatives to look after us. What? I couldn't answer that. Our parents were only children, and our grandparents were too old for that. Ah, our parents were only children. Ah, I see. They have no sisters or brothers. Okay. I was thinking, what the fuck? They're only children? He asked it again, and then I could tell him the truth. He was puzzled for a moment, and after that he told me that if there was no one to do that, then we would have to move. I asked him if it was necessary, because we didn't want to leave this place. He told that we would have to. When the perfect moment came to try, I was still strong. I was more worried about my brother. He hurried to do his job, so he said goodbye, and he went away. His job? What? I closed the door. I fell onto the ground slowly. My right hand was on my forehead, and I had no idea what we were going to do after that. The policeman told me the address of the hospital, if I was going to take a final farewell. But I didn't want to see their lifeless body. It would have been the worst case, so I saved myself from upcoming nightmares, and I stayed at home. I made the meals quickly, and I didn't say a word to my brother about the talking. The next day was there, and I heard someone had knocked on the door. There was a woman and a man standing in front of me. Alrighty. So, I took a little break after the first 5 minutes of this episode because I still felt kinda sour about the way the creator handled the relationships, but I found it unfair that I'm angry because first of all I said I wouldn't be angry. Second of all, the creator said that he's not good at writing. And third of all, I was pretty well entertained up to this point by the mod. I was just not happy how he treated Lena and especially the Slavia relationship. So I thought I'll give myself a break of a day, or a day and a half actually. And then I'm going on playing and be not as sour. Why am I telling you this? I have no clue. But at least now you know, I suppose. She asked me, she being the person standing in front of the door, you probably know that since you didn't have a day and a half break. At least I guess. She asked me if I was Slavia. I nodded. Then she told that she was for taking us to a new place. I asked her about the place, but she told that they would take care of us from that moment. I see. I shut the door in fear. It was too much and too quick for me to say goodbye to the home already. They knocked the door impatiently, which woke my brother up. His steps were sluggish, and they broke the silence of the other rooms. He reached me, and he asked about the noise. I said nothing in the beginning, but they pushed the door, and the inevitable was coming. When they checked that I wasn't alone there, they turned to my brother, and they talked to him instead of me. I stopped their speech by talking to him about the situation. He didn't understand anything. Then the adults told us that it was time to pack and to move. I accepted it sadly, that there was no chance to be there. It took many minutes to get prepared. I guess it takes many minutes to get prepared for moving out, but okay. When we were ready, I locked the door and we left our home. Right there and right now. How old were you again? Was that like specifically mentioned? I don't think so. Like just some people saying, hey, we're taking you. I wouldn't trust them. On the other hand, they probably showed their passports and stuff like that, and she just didn't mention it. So I guess I'm being like overly critical again. Our new home was an orphanage with a lot of new kids. We got our new beds to each other because of our connection. What? Okay, whatever. During the years he became a student, and I taught him how to count, read and write. It was a bad luck that he had difficulties with learning later. I spent most of the time to teach him and to practice with him. I became his real protector, and he depended on me totally. Well, that's probably not so good. A bit independence is, really needed, even for children. When I got older, he became better and better, and I had time to help the other orphans. The younger ones were like my younger, non-relative siblings. I had the ambition to do it. I took the risk to do it. How is that a risk? Oh well. The caregivers realized my diligence and caring for the others, so they talked about the pioneers, and I was surprised. I decided that I wanted to be one of them, to save the weak, to make them stronger. When the summer break came, I went to a pioneer camp for the rest of the time. When the school session was actual, I moved back to the when it started, I guess. I moved back to the orphanage. Now, not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure it's not like that's how it works with pioneers and stuff. Like, I don't believe you can be a pioneer for the time of being in the pioneer camp and not be a pioneer for the rest of the year. But, you know. And pioneers still go to school. I don't even know. Oh well, why am I complaining? I was about 14, and I was in a summer camp again. That was the richest period of camp periods, because I learned the most during that. I was reliable and clever enough to take hard tasks, and my superiors were proud of me. I was also proud of myself. Being useful and helpful became the goal of my life. I also looked for the new members to involve them to that small society. But that era was the worst of me. My brother got sick while I was away. I hadn't known anything about him until about it, I guess, until the first letter came from home. I asked for permission to visit my brother, and because of my previous actions, they let me to do it. I had to spend the camp time with him, but I never had the thought of regretting. Well, obviously, he's fucking sick. His immune system was very weak for the pneumonia. Oh, he had that? I already forgot. And the medicines didn't want to work. I was worried what would happen with him. His status was getting worse day after day, and I couldn't help him. I was always next to him, and I held his hand almost all the time. I often prayed for my parents to save him from the illness, to leave him to me, but it was useless. On a rainy morning, his body gave up the fight, and he died in silence while I was sleeping. When I woke up, I tried to wake him up. There was no response. So I shook his body gently. No reaction. I shook him with more power, but it was useless. When I realized that he didn't breathe, I shouted for help, and I tried to reanimate him for minutes. When it seemed he was no longer alive, I did it harder and quicker with dropping tears. One of the caretakers stopped me to make this fight with the death, and I didn't want to believe that I had lost the most loved person of my life. I sat down in a corner and I stared at the ground for hours. It was horrible. From that day, I have promised myself to fight for the weeks with all of my will for the memory of my brother. But I sometimes have nightmares seeing his face in front of me. I didn't know what to say, and I didn't want to say anything. And you know, this backstory. Okay, I think first of all, this backstory was a little bit over the top. Like, either dead parents or dead brother would have been enough. And I'm not saying that stuff like this doesn't happen in real life. I'm sure there are people who lost their parents and then lost a sibling or something like that. And I mean, all my heart goes out to you. But like, it seems a little bit over the top right now. Especially, it seems in general over the top after this lake scene. I can't get over that. This would have been actually good if they weren't before in the lake. It boggles my mind. Why? God damn it! I took a break of a day and a half, and I'm still not over it. I'm unbelievable. I'm really unbelievable. I didn't know what to say. My bad. While she was telling her story, she was holding my hand tightly. It sometimes hurt, but it was bearable. In an indirect way, her brother died for me. Although the theory was the stupidest one I ever had. Okay, I'm glad you see that as well. I was about to say, this is the stupidest thing I heard today. At least I saw the side that no one else knew. When I look in her eyes, she became a bit calm. Or calm a bit, is that correct? Calm a bit calm? A bit calmer? She became a bit calmer, but she became calm a bit. I'm not too sure myself. English not my strong side. I understand everything, but I don't know why you choose me to tell it. I should have been the last person of the camp to inform about this tragical story. I don't know, but when I'm with you, I feel that I'm safe. That's why I get naked around you. That's strange. I'm not confident or muscular enough. Sorry. To be a protector. What does make you think of that? I don't know that either. My inner voice says that. Inner voice? It's a voice which can override every rule made by the logic and the mind. I see. Soon her head rested on my chest, and I didn't dare to move. Unexpectedly, my heart started to beat faster, and even she listened to it. I couldn't handle myself, but as I saw, she enjoyed it. If I had let the emotions flow, I would have hugged her for the rest of the evening. But she wasn't mine, so I didn't give a chance to be ambiguity. It wasn't about awkwardness, it was about knowing the limits. Man, I'm not too sure about the limits in this situation. Like, she got naked before. This would have been also so good. I'm actually proud of him now that he isn't, like, abusing the situation. Like, she just told him a very private story, a story she very much suffers from. And he doesn't abuse this knowledge to, like, get closer to her. Like a good person would. And now, this all seems just so crazy because before she got naked around him. It's like... Ah. Oh, sorry, that was me. My bad. She rubbed her head onto my shirt, like she provoked me to tap her head again. I didn't know that she had a childish part, but knowing the fact that she had been strong when the tragedies had happened with her, it could explain the wish for response. She stopped herself suddenly. She stood up and she spoke. I think it's time to go back slowly. I hope that they didn't start to search for us. I hope so. We had the thought to go and the feeling to stay. I wasn't able to say which one was stronger than me, and the sure choice wasn't written on Slavyas' face either. Our steps were slow, but forced. I started to think what the sequel would be. I accompanied her to the cabin. During the walk she remained silent, but when we arrived, she dropped some words to me. I don't know how I could repay this to you. Don't worry, it was my pleasure. I'm not sure if that is an appropriate response, but okay. She gave me a last hug before she entered the cabin. I was on the way to clear my mind. If I had let the last scene to control me, I wouldn't have been able to sleep. It was way too big to process it quickly before sleeping. When I was in my cabin, I fell onto my bed without changing clothes. I wasn't in the mood and in the condition to care about them. Being in the forest drained all of my energy. Dream? Yes, no, maybe, perhaps? Oh, I have to click again. I always forget that. How can I always forget that? And why do you need to double click in this mod? Like, that's so strange. Work is in progress. I hope I will get new ideas. Oh, so this is the end. Holy moly. Work is in progress. I hope I will get new ideas soon to continue. Even I don't know all of the tricks, but I will put the necessary ones as soon as I learn them. As the story goes ahead, I try to patch the storyline to make it more senseful. Yes, please. Put out the naked scene. I'm saying it right here, right now. Put out the lake scene. Well, not the lake scene all, but when they go together into the lake. It bothers me so much. And I mean, it also bothers me how he said to Lena that, like, oh, you looked so sad and so lonely. So I thought, man, someone has to play with you. Like, who would say that? And also, I mean, I'm no grammar Nazi or anything. But, Jesus, sometimes I can't even understand anymore what's going on. Sometimes I have to do an interpretation of the English. And that is not so good. Maybe, like, at least reading through the text and, like, correcting the obvious parts, you know? The really obvious, because there are some really obvious ones. As mentioned, there are a few mistakes that weren't made in other sentences, even though they are the same grammatical phenomenons. You know what I mean? Alright, but, yeah. If you have questions about the story, or if you like to share your opinion, do it in the comment section in the workshop. I will appreciate it. Oh, I will do that. I will do that. If you have questions about mod making, the implementation start, check Xaka's tutorial in the workshop. If it's not enough, I have an expansion for that, in my workshop. If you miss something at specific parts, for example music, sounds, ambient, be free to leave a note in the workshop and I will fix it. Finally, thank you for reading. That's it? Oh, okay. If you are still here, you can check a spoiler of the third day. Am I curious? Or can I wait? No, I can wait, actually. I'm not bad with spoilers. I don't know about you people, but I know I'm not bad with spoilers. I can wait. Because I hate spoilers. So, we save. I can wait. Yeah, and back to the main menu. Okie dokie, as mentioned. I felt like the mod was pretty good to a certain point. Like the characters were well portrayed in the beginning. The story was well written. The English in the beginning there were mistakes, but at least in the beginning I still understood what's going on. Like in the beginning I didn't even realize that there were mistakes, even though there were. Like after reading it again or watching my video again, I realized also in the beginning there were already like a few mistakes, but at least not really major ones. I still understood what was going on. So, you know, I gotta say, I actually enjoyed the Slavia stuff now, after the bath in the lake. Like, the backstory is interesting, and I think it fits her character. I mean, it is probably not the newest and never seen before idea that was ever made, you know. It's a pretty standard story for someone who's like caring very much, you know. My parents died, my little brother died, and so these days I'm caring for everybody, you know. It's kind of standard, but it works very well. I think it works very well for Slavyas' character. So I give that a big thumbs up. Good idea, and I love it that that the creator tries to give the characters backstories. Like they really, as mentioned, really lack that in Everlasting Summer. So a big thumbs up for that. But how am I supposed to take this seriously after they went to take a bath together in the puddle there? Not in the puddle, in the lake. How am I supposed to take that seriously? I can't. I just can't. That's the problem. And that is what makes me angry. You know, the thing is, I don't even get... when I get angry, it's usually actually a good sign. About stupid stuff, I have the tendency to laugh. I laugh about stupid stuff. I get angry, at least usually. I get angry when something is good and then something happens that destroys the atmosphere. Which is actually unfair, to be honest, because up till that point I actually enjoy it, as mentioned. But the few things that really destroyed the mood, you know, they destroyed the mood. I hope, like, I'm not the only one seeing it like this. Maybe I'm, like, overly critical again. I tend to be overly critical. But yeah, that's my opinion, you know. But as mentioned, for the fact that the creator said he could not write, this was very well done. Good character portrayal. I liked the way, I liked the writing style, even though I often didn't understand what was going on. Like, not often, sometimes didn't understand what was going on, but the style was not bad, you know. Just the thing with Lena was really bad. Not really bad. The stuff with Lena was bad, and the stuff in the end, and the stuff with Slavia was very bad, and the stuff with Miku on the beach was a little bit weird, but I guess that is still in the okay range. It was a little bit weird. Alright, I think I've talked enough now, didn't I? So, overall, thumbs up. Look for mistakes in the grammar, and in general, overall, it's not only grammar. Sometimes it's like many words that don't belong in a place, and I don't think that has something to do with grammar. Like writing her instead of she and stuff like that. Or maybe that probably is grammar now that I think about it. Yes, it is grammar. What am I talking about? So yeah, looking for mistakes. At least change the Slavia Lake scene. And then I'm all good. Then I'm 100% positive about this mod. So, thank everybody for watching. Yeah, this is the end of this mod for now. I'm going on playing when the next part or the next day comes out, so stay tuned for that. And I'm probably going to play more Everlasting Summer mods. So, if you want to see that, you know you can do that, or check other stuff out I do on this channel. Feel free to do whatever you want. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.